September 14, 2018. Broad daylight, on a busy street outside a private hospital in Miryalaguda, Nalgonda, Telangana. Security cameras captured a young man walking out of the hospital, alongside his wife and his mother. His wife, 5 months pregnant. A stranger approached from behind and within seconds took the husband's life right in front of his pregnant wife and his elderly mother. Then walked away, as if nothing had happened. The entire scene was captured clearly on security camera and spread across India within hours, sparking an unprecedented wave of outrage in Telangana. The man who lost his life that day was Pranay Kumar, 24, a Dalit man who had fallen in love with and married Amrutha Varshini, the daughter of a wealthy merchant family from the Vaishya caste. The stranger wasn't a robber. He was a hitman hired for 1 crore rupees by Amrutha's own father. And the pregnant woman standing right there witnessed the whole thing.
So what happened in the lead-up to that fateful day? And why would a father pay 1 crore rupees to have his own daughter's husband killed?
Pranay Kumar, also known as Pranay Perumala, was born and raised in Muthireddikunta, a small neighborhood in Miryalaguda town, Nalgonda district, Telangana. He belonged to the Dalit Christian community from the Mala group, one of the lowest communities within the scheduled caste structure of Indian society. Those who knew Pranay described him as cheerful, sincere, and devoted to his family. His father, Balaswamy, had spent his entire life working hard to support his family, pinning all his hopes on his only son. His mother was the woman standing beside her son on that fateful day, witnessing something no mother should ever have to see. Pranay met Amrutha Varshini back in their school days. She was the daughter of Maruthi Rao, a wealthy and powerful businessman from the Vaishya community, one of the higher trading castes in Indian society. In her family's eyes, the caste gap between Pranay and Amrutha was a chasm that could never be crossed. But Pranay and Amrutha didn't see that chasm at all. On January 30, 2018, Pranay Kumar and Amrutha Varshini got married at an Arya Samaj temple in Hyderabad, choosing to hold the ceremony away from home, since both of them knew full well that Amrutha's family would never agree to it. After the wedding, the couple returned to Miryalaguda and did something not many couples in India have to do after their wedding day. They went to the police station to ask for protection. Nalgonda Police installed security cameras at Pranay's house in Muthireddikunta and organized mediation sessions between the two families, with local leaders taking part. To the outside world, this looked like a love story slowly finding its footing. But behind those mediation sessions, Amrutha's father Maruthi Rao was quietly planning something else entirely. In June 2018, Maruthi Rao began planning to kill his own son-in-law. He got in touch with Asghar Ali, a professional hitman with a criminal record tied to the 2003 assassination of former Gujarat Home Minister Haren Pandya. Through a middleman, Abdul Karim, Maruthi Rao agreed to pay a total of 1 crore rupees to the hit gang. On July 10, 2018, an initial payment of 15 lakh rupees was made to Ali, Muhammad Abdul Bari, and Karim to begin surveillance and plan the attack. Throughout those months, Maruthi Rao kept attending the mediation sessions organized by police, presenting himself as a father trying to come to terms with his daughter's marriage. Nobody knew that outside the house with the security camera, a plan was being carried out day by day. Several attempts before September had failed, since Pranay hadn't shown up at the expected location. Maruthi Rao didn't give up and kept waiting for his chance. On September 14, 2018, Pranay took Amrutha, 5 months pregnant, for a checkup at a private hospital in Miryalaguda. Pranay's mother went along with them too. It was an ordinary afternoon. Pranay had no idea the hit gang had been tracking his schedule for days and was already waiting outside the hospital. As the three of them stepped out through the hospital gate, Subhash Sharma, the hitman hired from Bihar approached from behind. The security camera outside the hospital captured everything that happened next in those few short seconds. Pranay Kumar lost his life on the spot. He died while Amrutha carried their child, and while his mother stood right there beside him. After carrying out the crime, driver Samudrala Shiva sped off with Sharma and his accomplice, leaving the scene, while Amrutha knelt beside her husband amid a panicked crowd gathering around them. That security camera footage spread across India within hours, sparking an unprecedented wave of outrage across Telangana. Footage from the hospital's security camera helped Nalgonda Police identify Subhash Sharma, the man who had carried out the attack, within just a few days. Police traced link after link and, over the course of 4 days after the crime, arrested all 7 suspects: Subhash Sharma, Samudrala Shiva, Asghar Ali, Muhammad Abdul Bari, Abdul Karim, Shravan Kumar, and Maruti Rao. Once all the suspects were in custody and police began questioning each of them, the full picture of the conspiracy gradually came into focus. The suspects revealed that the man behind the entire plan, the one who had reached out to the hit gang, paid for it, and directed every step of the conspiracy, was Maruti Rao, Amrutha Varshini's own father. The investigation also revealed a particularly serious detail. Asghar Ali wasn't an ordinary criminal, but had a record connected to the 2003 assassination of former Gujarat Home Minister Harin Pandya, showing that Maruti Rao had deliberately sought out professional criminals to carry out his plan. A detailed charge sheet was filed in 2019, with charges of criminal conspiracy, murder, and violations under the SC/ST Prevention of Atrocities Act. However, in April 2019, the Telangana High Court granted bail to Maruti Rao and 2 co-accused, a decision that left Pranay's family and millions of people across India outraged. Pranay's father stood before the press and said his family was utterly disappointed with the ruling and would appeal to the Supreme Court seeking justice. But before the case even reached the courtroom, something nobody saw coming happened. In March 2020, while awaiting trial, Maruti Rao, the man who had paid 1 crore rupees to hire a hitman to kill his own son-in-law, passed away. He didn't die of illness or old age. He died before the court ever got the chance to hand down a verdict. This was the most heartbreaking twist in the entire case. The man identified as A1, the chief mastermind behind the murder, escaped a court judgment in a way nobody could have stopped. Amrutha, the woman who had watched her husband killed right in front of her, who had given birth to their son alone in January 2019, who had stood before the court and testified against her own father, came to realize that the man directly responsible for all her suffering would never have to hear a sentence read out in front of him. But Amrutha didn't stop there. She kept fighting. For more than 6 years after Pranay's death, Amrutha Varshini never once gave up on her fight for justice for her husband. She raised their son alone, a child who would never know his father's face. She fought the legal system as she watched the men who killed her husband walk free on bail. She testified in court against her own father, something no one in her community could quite grasp how much courage it took. She also spoke publicly about how her father, before Pranay was killed, had pressured her to terminate her pregnancy and erase every trace of the marriage he saw as a stain on the family's honor. Amrutha refused, and their son grew up in Pranay's family home in Mutti-Reddy-Kunta, cared for by Pranay's father Balaswamy as a grandfather in every real sense of the word. The trial in Pranay's case at the SC/ST court in Nalgonda dragged on for more than 6 years, with a detailed charge sheet and testimony from numerous witnesses in court. The prosecution built its case around several key categories of evidence. Footage from the security camera outside the hospital, confirming Subhash Sharma's identity as the man who carried out the attack. Financial records, confirming the flow of 1 crore rupees from Maruti Rao to the hitmen, Amrutha's testimony, giving a full picture of a conspiracy that had been planned months in advance, and the testimony of Pranay's mother, who witnessed the attack directly, along with witnesses at the scene, rounding out the case. The defense argued that Subhash Sharma wasn't solely responsible and asked for leniency, citing health issues and family circumstances. The court rejected this entirely. On March 10, 2025, the SC/ST court in Nalgonda delivered its verdict in Pranay Kumar's murder case after more than 6 years of trial. Subhash Sharma, the hitman who had directly taken Pranay's life in broad daylight right outside the hospital gate, was sentenced to death. Asghar Ali, Muhammad Abdul Bari, Abdul Karim, Shravan Kumar, and Samudrala Shiva, who had organized, funded, and supported the murder, were sentenced to life imprisonment. Maruti Rao, A1, the mastermind, the man who paid 1 crore rupees to have his own son-in-law killed, had died in 2020 before the court ever got the chance to deliver a verdict and never stood before the court to hear his sentence. Special Public Prosecutor Darshan Narasimha, speaking after the verdict, said, "Since A2 Subhash Sharma murdered Pranay brutally, mercilessly in broad daylight, considering the gravity of the crime, the court has sentenced him to death. We hope this verdict brings about a change in society." Amrutha stood outside the courtroom after the verdict and said she and Pranay's family were disappointed that Maruti Rao had escaped judgment and that not all the accused had received the death penalty. She said she would continue to appeal to a higher court. As of when this video was made, Subhash Sharma is awaiting execution. The remaining accused are serving their life sentences. Amrutha Varshini continues her legal fight, appealing to a higher court, seeking harsher sentences for the remaining accused. Pranay and Amrutha's son is growing up in Reddikunta in the care of his grandfather Balaswamy. Born in January 2019, 5 months after his father was killed, he will grow up with his father's story as an inseparable part of his own life. The Pranay Kumar case raises questions Indian society still hasn't found a definitive answer to after centuries. A young man, his life taken in broad daylight on a crowded street for daring to love a woman from a different caste. His pregnant wife, 5 months along, standing right beside him, witnessing it all. The mastermind, that very wife's own father, who escaped a court judgment on his own terms before any sentence was ever read. After more than 6 years of Amrutha and Pranay's family fighting for justice, do you think the death sentence for Subhash Sharma and life imprisonment for the accomplices is enough to call it justice? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Pranay Kumar's story isn't just a simple criminal case. It's a story about a caste system that has existed for thousands of years and still continues to demand a human price, even in the 21st century. Pranay and Amrutha did everything right. They married legally, they asked police for protection, they took part in mediation sessions, they lived in a house fitted with a security camera. And none of it was enough to protect Pranay from 1 crore rupees and a hired hit gang. The second lesson comes from the power of digital evidence. The security camera outside the hospital captured the entire attack in a matter of seconds. That footage spread across India within hours and became undeniable evidence throughout 6 years of trial. In today's world, crime finds it harder and harder to hide, whether committed in broad daylight or under cover of darkness. And the final lesson comes from Amrutha Varshini, the woman who stood beside her husband as he was killed, who gave birth to their son alone 4 months later, and who stood before the court testifying against her own father. Her courage wasn't just the courage of a wife seeking justice for her husband. It was the courage of someone daring to stand on the right side when every pressure around her pushed her the other way. Remember his name, Pranay Kumar.